Guys, final video on Anthony Joshua versus Molina. Just giving you a sort of final prediction as to how I think this fight's going to go. Molina, as we know, had big success in the fight against Deontay Wilder. Ultimately, he was unsuccessful in that fight. But he caused Wilder problems in a few places, and he made Wilder look thoroughly unspectacular. For me, that performance was 50% Molina overperforming, 50% Deontay Wilder underperforming. I actually don't believe that was a proper performance from Deontay Wilder. I think we've seen him far better in other fights. However, I am convinced that the Eric Molina we saw on that night against Deontay Wilder was perhaps the most dangerous Eric Molina we've seen. And my concern is that even if that Eric Molina shows up, I probably do not think on balance he's got enough to upset Anthony Joshua at this stage of his career. Now Joshua, for me, is less likely, he's less of a temperamental fighter than Wilder. Joshua's a guy who's clinical, who very much boxes to orders, who's very, very, very measured and controlled in the ring. So what I'm getting at is, even if that same Molina turns up, I don't expect Joshua to make the same mistakes that Wilder did. And that's not to say that Joshua is necessarily a better fighter than Wilder, but what it is to say is, in my opinion, at this stage, he's a more disciplined, measured fighter than Deontay Wilder. I expect Joshua to come out and to establish the jab within the first round. I think he will look to keep Molina off him and, keep Molina at distance by pumping that jab in the face with the threat of that big right hand to follow up on the jab if Molina's reckless. Where is Molina going to be at his most dangerous? Well, Molina's going to be at his most dangerous in a scrap where he can land a Hail Mary type punch. And for me, Deontay Wilder perhaps didn't do the best job of keeping the distance, keeping the range, and negating that assault from Eric Molina. Molina, for me, was at his most effective when he was able to lunge in, charge in, be a bit reckless, and abandon technique, and as I've already mentioned, adopt that Hail Mary one-punch knockout technique approach. I think he's pretty much made no secret in the interviews I've heard from him that he's not necessarily coming here to nick a decision or to edge Joshua on points. Obviously, that's going to be very, very hard to do against an Olympic gold medalist fighting on his home soil. He's coming here to knock Anthony Joshua out. And for me, Eric Molina does have the classic puncher's chance. He's a big guy. I was actually surprised at the weigh-in that he was a lot closer to Anthony Joshua size-wise than I expected him to be. I thought he'd be a substantially smaller man. But yeah, Molina, whilst he maybe is slightly smaller, he's certainly in the same territory as Anthony Joshua size-wise. And he does have enough power. With Joshua, there's always been a slight concern as to how he reacts when he gets hit. There's been lots of rumours about him being dropped in sparring and that sort of stuff. And he was certainly uncomfortable in the Dillian White fight the one time someone properly stuck it on him. So I guess those doubts remain against Anthony Joshua. And Molina's coming off the biggest knockout win of his career, which was against... I'm just trying to think who it was against now. Was it against Robert Helenius, I believe, where he... or was it against Thomas Ademic? I'm managing to get myself confused. I'll just box at that as I'm talking. But yeah, Molina's obviously coming off the biggest win of his career, and he's going to be looking to show his power in this fight and to put that on Anthony Joshua early on. Having said that, do I believe he's got the technique? Do I believe on balance that he's going to be able to implement that game plan? Probably not. So his last win was against Thomas Ademic, not Robert Helenius. There was someone else who beat Robert Helenius who temporarily I've forgotten, which is frustrating me. But on balance, I think that Joshua was going to come out and it was Johan Depar who beat Robert Helenius, another Deontay Wilder victim. That's why I was getting confused. But I think on balance, Joshua's going to come out. He's going to box composed. He's going to stick to orders. He's going to keep that distance and keep that range by establishing his jab. And I think slowly we'll see him bludgeon and batter Eric Molina. I predict Joshua won't go for the knockout in the first round or two. Firstly, I think there'll be a bit of dismay from the fans if the fight was over that quickly, so I think he'll be inclined to make it go a few rounds. Secondly, I also feel that Joshua will be mindful early on of Molina's power and potential threat that he poses. So I think we could see a cautious early opening from Joshua, with Molina trying to impose himself and Joshua boxing, moving, keeping reins. Once Joshua's opened up Molina, I think it won't take a lot for him to get him out of there. I think when it gets to the 4th round or 5th round, I'm going 5th round, Joshua will find a home for his power punches. He'll stop Molina. So that's my prediction. That's how I see the fight going. I predict Molina to give a spirited performance, potentially where he goes down and gets back up again. But I think he'll be bust up by the jab, and after AJ puts it on him once or twice, the referee may have to step in. Let me know your thoughts, people. How are you predicting this fight? Is it a good fight? Are you looking forward to it? If you've enjoyed this video, please take the time to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed before, do subscribe. Of course, I'll do a post-fight reaction video after the fight tonight, so wouldn't want you guys to miss that if you want to check it. So, many thanks for watching, and enjoy the fight, guys.